Welcome back to another episode of Out Loud Geek, where we discuss news and views about pop culture, science fiction, fantasy, food, cooking, the outdoors, and more. Not everyone is happy with the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences' new diversity and inclusion standards that will be mandated for the upcoming 2024 Academy Awards. One actor who has recently spoken out against the requirements is the Oscar Award-winning actor Richard Dreyfuss, whose film credits include Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, American Graffiti, W, and Mr. Holland's Opus. He won the Academy Award for Best Actor for his role in the 1977 film The Goodbye Girl. During a wide-ranging interview on PBS's Firing Line with Margaret Hoover, Dreyfuss discussed civics education in the United States, partisan discourse, and the Academy's new Diversity Inclusion Initiative, to which he said that they, quote, make me vomit, unquote. Dreyfuss said, "It's an art. No one should be telling me as an artist that I have to give in to the latest, most current idea of what morality is. What are we risking? Are we really risking hurting people's feelings? You can't legislate that. You have to let life be life. I'm sorry, I don't think there is a minority or majority in the country that has to be catered to like that." And I personally wholeheartedly agree with those statements. In my opinion, the Academy is sacrificing artistic freedom on the altar of identity politics by mandating specific identity politics quotas for any film to be considered for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Their 4 new diversity and inclusion standards were first announced in 2020, but they will now be required for the upcoming 2024 Academy Awards, with 2 of the 4 needing to be fulfilled for a valid submission for Best Picture. The 4 standards are as follows. Standard A, on screen. One of the following must be met. At least one of the lead or significant supporting actors is from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. Or at least 30% of all actors in secondary and more minor roles are from an underrepresented group, which the Academy defines as follows: women, a racial or ethnic group, LGBTQ+, or people with cognitive or physical disabilities, or who are deaf or hard of hearing. Or the main storyline, theme, or narrative of the film is centered on an underrepresented group, which is the same as just listed. Standard B, the team. One of the following must be met. At least 2 of the creative leadership positions and department heads, such as the director, cinematographer, or costume designer, are from underrepresented groups, and at least one of them must belong to an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. Or at least 6 other crew and technical positions, such as the first AD or script supervisor, are from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. Or at least 30% of the film's crew is from an underrepresented group. Standard C, access. A film must meet both of these requirements. The distribution or financing company has paid apprenticeships or internships for underrepresented groups. And the production, distribution, and or financing company offers below-the-line skill development to the underrepresented. Standard D, audience development. The film must have multiple in-house senior executives from underrepresented groups on the marketing, publicity, and or distribution teams. But there's just one small problem with the Academy now mandating these types of quotas. In order for studios, producers, and directors to know many of these things about their cast and crew members, they're going to have to pose a lot of very personal and sensitive questions to them. But guess what? The Equal Employment Opportunity Act prohibits all employers, which includes Hollywood studios, from asking certain types of questions during job interviews. And those prohibited questions include those that in any way relate to a candidate's age, race, ethnicity, color, gender, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, country of origin, birthplace, religion, disability, marital status, family status, and pregnancy. So essentially, the Academy wants studios to violate U.S. federal law in order for their movies to be considered for a Best Picture award at the Oscars. But it doesn't end there, because there are only 4 situations in which an employer can ask questions relating to an employee's medical or mental health condition, and those situations include the following. When an employee asks for a reasonable accommodation, after an employer has made a candidate a job offer, but before employment begins, as long as everyone entering the same job category is asked the same questions, when the company is engaging in affirmative action for people with disabilities, in which case an employee may choose whether to respond. In other words, an employer can't force an employee to answer such questions. And finally, on the job, when there is objective evidence that an employee may be unable to do his or her job, or that the employee may pose a safety risk because of his or her condition. And after reading through those 4 valid situations in which an employer is authorized to ask an employee about his or her physical or mental health, I didn't see anything specifically pertaining to one of those situations being while working on a film in order to submit it to be considered for an Oscar nomination. So what sort of job title will a studio employee have if they're supposed to ask very private, personally sensitive, and possibly illegal questions towards job candidates or current employees? A peeping Tom? Why does the Academy truly need to know all of this very private and sensitive information about people working on films? Are they hoping to sell the information to the highest bidder? It's clear that the Academy doesn't care about U.S. federal labor and privacy laws, or maybe they believe that they are above the law, which wouldn't surprise me if that's the case. Or maybe the Academy doesn't care, since the burden of asking the questions rests with the studios. And what about foreign film producers and the labor and privacy laws that may prohibit them from asking similar questions within their countries, or if their countries aren't particularly pluralistic to begin with? Did the Academy consider that before mandating these identity politics standards? I doubt it, because all the Academy truly cares about is pushing their woke identity politics agenda at any cost. And what will happen if cast and crew members refuse to answer these types of private and sensitive questions, or refuse to provide the information voluntarily? If studios are desperate to get one of their films nominated for Best Picture, will they resort to coercion in order to get cast and crew members to volunteer their private and sensitive information to qualify the submission of the film for consideration? It will be very interesting if cast and crew members start filing lawsuits against studios for asking these types of questions, or try to coerce them into volunteering the information. Of course, if any straight white males are concerned about their future employment possibilities as movie cast and crew members in Hollywood, they could just lie about their sexual orientation or feign having a mental illness. It's not like studios are going to be able to obtain any information about any individual's actual condition from medical staff or health insurance companies if they ask them, because the medical staff or insurance companies would have to obtain an individual's consent before releasing that kind of information in accordance with rules established by HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. Another question that I have to ask is, how are the studios and the Academy going to protect private and sensitive information that they intend to collect about cast and crew members working in the film industry? What happens if there's a data breach? Maybe it's time for people working in the film industry to start becoming a bit more concerned about their personal and private information that the studios and now the Academy is going to want to collect about them, and whether the Academy is planning to profit from that data. If the studios are smart, they won't ask for the information or resort to coercion. And if the cast and crew members are smart, they won't volunteer any of the information. By requiring intrusive identity politics quotas, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences has not only demonstrated that identity politics is far more important to them than art or science, they have also demonstrated their lack of regard for individual privacy, as well as labor and privacy laws. The Academy's credibility is diminishing, and they should rename the so-called Best Picture Award as the Best Identity Politics Award, since that's essentially what it's going to be from now on. Thanks for watching today, and a huge thanks to everyone who has subscribed to our channel. We appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button, and please feel free to share a comment. If you'd like to see more of our videos in the future and help support this channel, please press the red subscribe button, and please press the bell to receive notifications for new content. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter by clicking on the links in the description. Until next time, this is Out Loud Geek.